Hi, Kavishka. How are you?
I'm great, and you?
I'm fantastic. I'm
Nice to
glad
see you again.
to. Yeah, likewise. Okay, my first question to you is please tell me what are the trends in the world of modeling and social media creators for 2024?
Well, as per our last interview back in early week, it was I think the first week of January. So a lot has changed since then. As a creator myself, what I've noticed is specifically like on your TikTok and Instagram, there is, I won't even say Facebook so much because that is like a totally different world, but especially like your mainstream for young people, especially your Instagram and your TikTok, the trends have changed a lot. A lot of things affect the trends of being a social media creator, especially if you are somebody that wants to like be recognized for your artistic or creative skill in the industry. Like if you're an up and coming musician, an aspiring model, or someone who's into confectionery, anything creative that you need a following and a fan base to sort of excel. A small business in beauty and things like that, the things have changed. I mean, they say good things don't last forever. So I think we're with the inception of TikTok that really started to have like an upswing back in like 2020, 2021. That was like sort of the best time for like stress-free creation, meaning like it was free. Where now it's much more harder, much more challenging because things change with the, clauses and stuff with the social media sort of search engines and stuff like that. They clauses change. We know ever since the Copyright Act didn't like so sort of go through with Universal Music Records earlier this year. I know we all as creators will send a circular. Everyone knows TikTok as that music app. Content creators like I myself as well, we base our content based on audio files that are trending, or even audio files that are from yesteryear, or like that it sort of grabs attention first is the audio and then the visual, and it's sort of the basis of every content creator that is like excelling on TikTok for like the longest time. And so, with that being sort of obviously, like TikTok, for example, had good reason because they want the trend is they want more raw, real, organic sort of content. They want the opportunity to be open for a lot of independent and up and coming artists and musicians out there. They want like you basically your because it's not copyrighted yet, because it's still like on a small scale and it's not like via any big record companies like your mainstream artists like your Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, whatever. You can't sort of use an audio file anymore because it's like it's just not available anymore. So and also as well from a law perspective, all these artists were not being monetized each time a sound was made trending or a particular verse from a particular song was going viral doing the rounds in the last 2 years. So I'll say the trends for TikTok and Instagram is quite similar. They bounce off each other from time to time. We know that, for example, with IG stories are a big thing. That's why over the years, Facebook sort of implemented that. It like they just sort of bounce off each other. Like as much as Instagram was known for reels and stories, it's sort of like spilled over and bleeded into Facebook because 9 times out of 10, I mean, if you find something really intriguing on a Facebook reel, it'll redirect you to where it's originally from, which is IG. So that's why I say they sort of bleed into each other. TikTok, obviously, it's all paid now. Like meaning, should I like I will post a video right now that could be of like a 20-second ramp walk with maybe a motivational message in between. It'll get 0 views, not because I don't have a good following, but because you have to. It's like becoming like a paid thing. You want your content to be seen. You want it to be pushed out. Those days of it being pushed out organically is like a thing of the past. Even if you are to do live streaming, if you don't pay a fee and link it to your bank account, it goes according to your budget. If you want to reach like your target reach, it's kind of like Meta and being a small business. Like you gotta like put in the money to get the results that you want. It's no more like a sort of free site, free platform. So it's quite challenging for a lot of people. From a legal standpoint, I understand that it's necessary, but at the same time, I feel like for a lot of people who don't sort of have the capital or the budget to get their stuff seen and circulated, that is but everything with life has pros and cons. So in that way, I think it's also a bit of a con. Uh,
Yeah.
Since for being a creator has changed a lot, especially like I said with TikTok and IG. Trends change quite often. The algorithm changes quite often. You've got to keep track if you want to be somebody that gets their content like seen and heard often. So they want more organic content, meaning film it in not just stereotypical sort of selfie mode. They want more landscape mode. They want more authentic audios, maybe a song that you wrote yourself or an
Hmm.
instrument you played yourself. You sort of attach that. So in a way, like I said, it's a good thing. Excuse me, but in a way, it's also a bad thing, depending on which context you look at it from. And yeah, you gotta always keep your, push pedal to the metal, as they say. And you gotta, if you genuinely are a content creator, an up and coming content creator, and you're only starting your journey now, it's so important to watch out for trends. Watch a YouTube video that is discussing trends, because trends change on these platforms every so often, every few months. And what worked in March last year will not work now. It's ever
Hmm.
changing. It's a very fluid industry.
Hmm.
And yeah, so what my message will be to any content creator out there right now is be unique, be yourself. If something feels, but TikTok used to always promote that, that uniqueness. Like, don't pay attention to too many flaws. Just do you, be you, of any age group. Just they want that authentic experience for the viewers as well as for the creator to sort of feel comfortable with it themselves and the kind of content that they're pushing out, because some people are stereotypically sort of like labeled as weird or weirdos. If somebody has a channel that is specializing in maybe, I don't know, a worm farm or ant farm or something, like, it's not just your stereotypical modern content page or content creator, but for example, that
Hmm.
person will feel a little bit uh, less stressed these days if they are growing their IG or their TikTok, because of that. Of that person is not going to care too much about the visual and the quality dynamics, or they are more like raw and real, like in that, for example, in that kind of thing. So yeah, be authentic, be real, be you. Uh, Stop being so much like a perfectionist. I mean, coming from me as well, but like when you're making your content, be more, have a human element. Don't be so
Hmm.
verbatim and robotic.
Hmm.
That's what AI is for. Uh, film from a real time perspective, and make use of
Hmm.
landscape mode, make use of different angles, and yeah,
Hmm.
just be. Uh, it's a bit of a breaking interruption there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
content wise, just be raw, real, be yourself. Don't fear that it's not going to be pushed,
Hmm. Hmm.
as it will. Authenticity always wins sooner or later. So yeah, and
Yeah.
that's all I can say for that.
Yeah. What is the best way for potential models to break into the industry?
Okay, so that one is a big one. I think stay true to yourself as a no matter what your age is. I know with modeling there is a lot of misconception that you gotta, okay, ideally, yes, ideally you should be in your teens and your early 20s, but don't ever
Hmm.
for a second think. From my personal experience, I mean, I was scouted when I was 29, and I was
Wow.
flabbergasted. I felt like, okay, I felt I was too old. I felt
Oh.
I was too old, and I felt I wasn't like thin enough. Because you see, my limited perspective was you got to be like super young, super
Hmm.
super tall. Because I
Hmm.
am just like the two notches down in height, and then obviously body type is not extremely skinny. So the natural body type is more on the curvier side. So it kind of like it did startle me at first when I got scouted, because I felt like, okay, what if, in my mind, I didn't want it if I'm not going to be on main stage, because that was like what every little girl dreams of when she is a sort of die-hard fashionista, model queen kind of, person.
Hmm.
So, like I said, with the world changing and the trends changing, there is a place for you, no matter what you identify yourself as. Because I mean, we have different types of people these days. It's not like you're just a guy or just a girl. What we are living in a subculture where it is very acceptable and very, very sort of, I think, with many years of this LGBT community being like swept under the rug or not being acknowledged. Some of the world's, I'll say, the world's best makeup artists, the world's best fashion designers, the world's best models, even, and creatives are actually people that identify themselves under the LGBT community. And with the world of modeling, you should never feel like you as a individual just you don't belong, or there's no space for you in the industry, because it is a huge world out there. There are so many different aesthetics out there that you don't know. Sometimes you may not know that you can fit into a sort of aesthetic
Mm,
or brand, or even if you want to
mm,
develop one yourself that is like for your niche market. The thing is, anything goes. The thing is the self belief. Oftentimes people, not just potential models or aspiring models, oftentimes people sort of they sort of self sabotage, because
mm,
we are our own worst critics. What you tell
mm,
yourself is what is going to sort of transpire 9 times out of 10. So believe in yourself. Push your content forward, especially if it's modeling. I've always say this to other talent scouts as well. I just said to Chalani the other day, they've got to want it bad enough. He had asked me to sort of scout. I'll give you a real time example. He's like, can you please forward, because I've done this before on behalf. Like, I'm not getting remunerated for that. That is just like a courtesy gesture, because
mm,
once you get
mm,
are represented by that agency or by that brand for that such and such time, you have like a social responsibility to market, promote, and fly that flag, wear that banner proudly for that time being,
mm,
and promote, as a gesture. And it's quite putrid. I'm not saying that they aren't seeking, but there are a lot of women, for example, this particular shoot that's upcoming, a lot of potential. But at the same time, like I said, there is risks, there is things in this industry that can be daunting if you're not already in it.
mm.
But you can't
Of
be,
course.
I hate to say it, but you can't be a scaredy cat. You gotta like let that conversation pan out. Don't have so much of,
Mm, mm. Me.
as I was saying. Yeah, so I would say it's quite daunting. I can understand just from a female point of view, from a woman, or
Mm,
just somebody that is not familiar with mainstream modeling at all, just to be getting approached via social media. Because you must understand, as much as social media, fan artists and things like that, at the same time, a lot of people, a lot of ordinary people, sort of discredit the fact of just how much social media is a integral part of communication. If you are in the entertainment industry, for visual arts, for design, for music, for fashion, for beauty, especially, it's so
mm,
important.
mm.
So I feel like any potential model should be a little bit more open and less rigid. And you know what? Judge a conversation by the tone. You always judge
Mm,
any new model, or you want to break into the industry. All I can tell you is don't be scared. Don't be scared of a DM. Don't be scared of marketing coming your way via the form of another individual like me or an agency. Be just be attentive in the DMs, because if you sort of shut it down and block that person upon immediate DM, even if they were sort of greeting you or messaging you in a professional manner, you could
mm,
you could potentially lose a good opportunity
mm,
to put yourself on the map. Or even if it's not something you ever saw yourself doing, give it a fair
mm,
enough chance. Ask the right questions. Ask for
mm,
credentials. Don't ever be afraid to ask, like, okay, who are you? What agency are you from? Is this a
mm,
legitimate company?
mm,
Company.
mm.
Um, you know, check their profile out to see, are they in the industry, and it's not. Don't write everything off as spam if you haven't given it a chance. I mean, like I said, recently
Yeah.
I've been doing out of courtesies recruiting for a few more spaces left for Trelawney's campaign that he's sort of recruiting models for a swimwear 2024-2025 collection in months and weeks to come. And out of courtesy, like, nothing is confirmed for me as yet, but I went through the motions, I went through the process of the application, because apart from me being a little bit more, it was also daunting for me, but you got to get past that. You got to check with person's
Yeah.
credentials. You got to liaise. You can't just shut it down immediately. And sad to say, a lot of potential applicants, they just sort of block me completely upon
Mm,
yet there was a human element in the DMs. I don't like copy and paste things. I have put a human element to the invitation. I mean, like, hey, at the name there, how are you? Would you be interested in something like this? Talent Scout
mm,
asked me to get
mm,
in touch with
mm,
you. I'm just doing it on behalf of him. Should you have any
mm.
questions, I've given you his details. You can ask him all the information and the active process
Yeah.
of how to work with that person. But because a lot of potential, like I said, they've got to want. That's where wanting it bad enough comes into play. And I did say that to him. It's not that agents can't find models. It's just that a
Mm,
lot of women, or a lot of potential candidates, they don't have the work ethic, they don't have the right code of conduct, they don't have the right sort of mentality, they're not
Mm.
strong enough to handle this industry. They're not willing. You've got to be a risk taker. You've got to have a very thick skin. You've got to be okay with being criticized and judged physically. You've also got to be
Mm.
somebody that wants, like I said, all the time, I'll be like a stuck record. You've got to want enough. Anything in this world, anything in this life, especially if it's in this industry, you have got to
Mm.
not only meet that opportunity halfway, you've got to be like, it needs to be like 70-30. You need to be the 70, and that opportunity sort of coming your way needs to be the 30, because it's all on you. Opportunities don't fall from the sky. Modeling gigs don't
Mm.
fall from the sky. I don't think for a second that if I that this just came my way like magic. There's no such thing. It is consistency. I mean, from my first interview, even though it's not even about having, I don't even have like numbers in the five figures when it comes to any social media, whether it's IG, TikTok, YouTube, or
Mm.
even
Mm.
Facebook. I won't say I have five figures of a massive following. I don't
Mm.
consider myself a G-grade celebrity of any sort as yet.
Mm.
But the thing is, consistency. Even if it's only one person watching,
Mm.
just be consistent if you are an aspiring model.
Mm.
Take your photos. You don't have a good enough lighting or good enough backdrop. Discipline yourself. Learn what is golden hour. Learn what is early hours of the morning. Know your features. Know thyself. Know yourself. Every person has a good side to their face and a bad side to their face, or a better angle. Simple things. And we're living in a day and age where information is freely available. I mean, back in the days, you would have to go to the library, have a library card, look up
Mm.
some fashion books, look at some photography books, look at some, now in a click of a button, you can just search it on what we call free tea. You'll have any.
Mm.
They are content creators that specialize in making content, training people for free, whether it's for
Mm.
business, whether it's for modeling, photography poses. It is like the best time, I think, this generation of young people to be alive, because everything is at their fingertips. They just got to make the opportunity. They just got to work harder and just apply yourself, because you don't get opportunities if you don't be consistent in pushing out
Mm.
your best. Whether it's excuse me, like fashion, modeling, just keep pushing your content. Be as professional as you can. Make use
Mm.
of hashtags, the right kind of hashtags, like for example,
Mm.
hashtag South African model, hashtag model, hashtag 2024 model, or hashtag fashionista, fashion lover. Get to grips with hashtags. It's sometimes you'll know a hashtag, not even about it being trending, but you'll know a hashtag exists when you type it there. And even if you're making one yourself that doesn't exist previously, never mind it. Put it there, because somehow it'll get flagged. Somehow it'll get flagged when you least expect it, and you will be discovered for something. Also, be collaborative. Be willing to collab
Mm.
uh, with
Mm.
uh, with other content creators, whether it's music or just being seen. Because the number one thing about being in the modeling industry, whether it's for print photography, whether it's for couture, whether it's for ramp, whether it's from a social media influencer perspective, you have to always be okay with being seen at any angle, at any time, all the time. You have to be okay with being the topic on everyone's lips. You have
Mm.
to be okay
Mm.
with the mentor, which is quite daunting if you are not a thick-skinned person, and you have to be. So just
Mm.
be consistent, keep pushing out your work, even if you feel like nobody's watching. Just keep being consistent. You keep being consistent, and the universe will sort of bring that. It'll find a match for you energetically to bring that opportunity forward, and you'll be like getting. You hear these like it sounds like magic. Oh wow, I was discovered. Or oh wow, an agency sort of are you on social media? You need to be on social media first of all, first things first kind of
Mm.
thing. Or talk to people. Talk to people who have fashion stores and whatnot. Make connections. Have engaging conversations with people that can potentially propel your career forward if you're an aspiring model. But you can see it's a lot of work. You're going to be doing the work.
Of course. Yeah. So tell me something about the online model work and being involved in exotic art entertainment, mainly exotic dance, stripping, and SW, sex workers.
Okay, so this is an exciting one. So earlier this year, I decided to give it a try, because I've always been a content creator. in my
Mm-hmm.
personal experience, I love exotic dance. I love the aesthetic of cabaret. I love the aesthetic of boudoir. I find it very feminine. I find it very sensual, very appealing. This is an industry that has gained popularity in yesteryear, but at the same time, it's an aesthetic that is timeless and ageless because it has existed since time immemorial, and I feel like it's such an authentic art form that a lot of people won't necessarily appreciate it in modern times if they
Mm.
don't already have an appreciation for arts as a whole. So with that premise, that was like I already knew what aesthetic I was sort of pushing forward. So I decided to take the plunge, give it a try. A good friend of mine who has been doing it for a couple of years as a side hustle, she earns quite good money out of it, and I was like, okay, like I said, in this country, it's very, very, very suitable for any person at any given time to do a side hustle or to every little bit of supplementary income helps, especially if you are somebody that has a lot of things to pay for, a lot of goals, and like with someone like myself, I'm always getting accredited with another course or another sort of. I'm always learning. I'm always a person that's always learning, so I always have a
Mm.
lot of expenses. So
Mm.
a very, very ambitious person. So of course,
Mm.
within context and stuff like that, I had to like give it a lot of thought. So she had invited me a few times to sort of sign myself up. It's all online in a virtual world. Give it a shot. And I did have a lot of fears. I had a lot of irrational fears as well, which is normal. I'm only
Mm.
human. I had a lot
Mm.
of concerns when I got into it because sometimes we can know people who are doing something, but they'll only explain it to you from their level of understanding or the way that they are doing it. And if you are a totally different individual in the way you run and operate your life, and it's not like that person, although you can know that person, they can know you will
Mm.
sort of like have a lot of more questions, and your level of perception, you need more understanding, you need more material, you need more resources to sort of put your mind at ease of what exactly are you getting into, what are the potential risk factors. Okay, because I happen to be one of those people that care enough because I have a lot more, I won't say a lot more to lose, but a lot more I'm very, very thorough about everything that I get into. So I felt like at the time when she invited me to join, it wasn't as simple as, okay, liaising with her employer, which is a camp studio owner, and then just sort of getting signed up. I had a lot of questions, and both the person that she was working with was just sort of like in the process at that time of acquiring a premises to sort of run a camp studio. I got in touch with them and I asked them certain concerns and questions that I had. I gave it a week. I did a lot of background sort of checks, research on my own, a week or two prior to finally meeting with them in person to get onboarded and to basically just do it, like, get straight into it. It was very daunting, like I said. But you know what they say: do one thing today that scares you. So for me at that
Mm.
time, doing that one thing that scares you, I decided to give it a try because you know what? It's not so rigid that you can't like quit after a few days if it's not for you or if you are like just
Mm.
not coping. It's worth the try. All I'll say is it's worth the
Mm.
try, and it is a good form of supplementary income should you I will say that I have more material that I'll discuss about this at the end of our call, but I'll say it's not for everyone. It is for both men and women. You don't need to be fearful of the stigma and the safety because as much as we're living in in a day and age where virtual interaction is a big thing,
Mm.
and OnlyFans has gained a lot of sort of just a lot of traffic and just a lot of recognition in the last few years post COVID, during COVID-19 as well, globally. Things take a bit of, there's a bit of a lag, I'm sure you know, with all things, especially here in SA. Things take a little bit, several months to a year to sort of reach shores in terms of trend or in terms of priority. So
Mm.
I think the adult industry of webcam, of SW, of sex work. It's especially online. It has, apart from it being taboo, it's also been it's been taken a bit of time to gain some traction where South Africans are comfortable. I won't say they're fully comfortable, but comfortable enough to talk to the next person about it where it is a household
Hmm.
name, so to
Hmm.
speak. You don't just have, it's not polite conversation to talk about this industry with just anybody. I understand that. That is why I also sort of decided, I mean, being a content creator, having 3 or 4 categories of YouTube content that I've been wanting to push out, for some reason, my webcam vlog journey just sort of birthed out of pure sheer necessity about 2 weeks ago on my channel. But other topics that I've been watching that have had in the works lined up to prepare has been like,
Mm-hmm.
for some reason it just didn't have like I just didn't get around to it. But this, because it's
Mm-hmm.
something that is happening in real time with me,
Mm-hmm.
I just went with the flow, produced the first two episodes that you guys can check out. You're more than welcome to check it out. Leave your comments, your thoughts, your views, and learn more. Knowledge is power in every industry, guys. So what I will say is, never ever your first piercing is, sorry about that, getting your first tattoo, getting a piercing, going
Mm-hmm.
bungee jumping, doing something wild and crazy. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about impulsive behavior or risk behavior under the right conditions. It's not. I will say, like aforementioned, your first piercing, your first tattoo, how often do we worry about the pain? How often do we ask around and shut ourselves with worry and fear, reading articles and videos of how much does it hurt? It is purely perception. If I throw a tennis ball at you and it grazes your shoulder, your level of pain threshold is different from mine. Maybe to you it's
Mm-hmm.
nothing, it's painful, but to someone who is facing maybe another sort of problem in their life and in their body, that can be like the most painful thing ever, and it's not as playful and fun. So experience everything for yourself firsthand. Have enough courage to try it out if you really want to dip your feet in the waters of this world. And everything is perception, everything is knowledge. Get the knowledge. That is what I am here for. That is why I have sort of created my channel. Not to say that there is no South African YouTubers that has touched on SW, OnlyFans sector, webcam, cam
Mm-hmm.
modeling, things like that. It's just that I'm very thorough and very in depth. And if you search it on YouTube, you're gonna find information and content from 2 to 3 years ago. So, like I said, even in this industry, it's just like Instagram and TikTok, trends change, the upswing changes of how what works. Like, you cannot, if you want to be an OS, we say an OS creator, going to be an adult content creator now, what worked 2 3 years ago doesn't necessarily work right now in terms of how you
Mm-hmm.
are sort of starting out, in how much of content you're pushing out, what rates you're charging, etc., etc. It is a very, very different world out there. Uh, Pun intended world, as in you get to engage and you get exposure to dealing with human beings from across the board, but at the same time, just the general like tone and the way in which this world operates. It's not underground. It's just a very different industry, and it can be very fruitful if you apply yourself and if you give it enough time. Sorry, their mainstream career and going full into adult content, because it not only pays the bills, it has afforded them a lifestyle, it has afforded them an opportunity to sort of beat the rat race, beat the system, or just get themselves, they become like off the grid in a way. So there are risk factors. It's not for everyone, but
Of course.
it's worth the try if you feel like you are somebody that doesn't shy away from the camera, and your own narrative for your life and your sexuality as an individual, it is not taboo where you're coming from, or you don't have any sort of religious or personal moral inhibitions. It's worth the try, I'll say. Because if you do have things that are like holding you back in your life and your lifestyle, I won't suggest or recommend that you force yourself to try something like this, because then you're going to constantly vibrate and live with fear each time you want to do this line of work, or each time you want to try it. That's why I say it's not for everyone, and I am not in any way encouraging any young person or mature person, or anybody for that matter, man, woman, teenager. Don't do this as a side hustle if it's not for you. Know
Mm-hmm.
yourself, know your levels of comfortability. There's many options though. I mean, we often hear of faceless creators. We hear of people that just want to specialize in hands and feet modeling is a thing, or just you want to hyperfixate, you want an audience that's going to hyperfixate on a particular body part of yours, and they don't have to know you as a person. You can do that. Bob's your uncle. It is, like I said, such a different tone, such a different world out there with this thing. Pun intended, literally and figuratively, it's a different world. And I'll say the number one misconception is uh, of the adult industry, especially as an online entertainer. The top three misconceptions I would say here in the South African market mindset of people is: number one, it is a sin. It is like something that it is often linked with being a person that has no morals, or is an escort or a prostitute, or does that sort of thing. But it's actually, it falls under this broad umbrella. That is why SW is a broad umbrella term for this industry, because exotic dance, adult entertainment in the form of male and female stripping, and adult entertainment at large visually, uh, online, it is not the same as prostitution, it is not the same as
Mm.
escorting, it is not the same as pornography. But a lot of times people get it mixed up big time. They get it mixed up big time. I know when a few people from my friend circle that had known me from previous years from something else, they literally like were like so shocked, and they were like, they just like DM me. People don't hold back. They literally DM me. They're like, "Oh, are you a porn star?" I'm like,
Oh
"No."
gosh.
Yes, they
Oh
get
gosh.
like so. That's the thing. People, the level of understanding is so
Narrow.
like narrow, that they don't understand.
Hmm.
It just SW is a broad umbrella for many things and many
Yeah.
forms of entertainment. And number one reason, like I always say, is it is a lucrative side hustle in the last 2 years. In my short time at the camp studio that I was at, I learned a lot about people that are in the industry and their reasons for doing it, like from a human and a psychological level,
Mm.
because I
Mm.
also have
Mm.
majored in psychotherapy. um, Maybe we can do an interview another time on that. But
Of
like,
course.
I understand people. Yeah, I understand people and their reasoning. You gotta really put yourself in that person's shoes as to why they're doing
Yeah.
it. And like I said, it's
Mm.
not for everyone, and everybody's gonna judge another person's grind,
Of
another
course.
person's hustle. And
Yeah.
yeah, we unfortunately we live in a judgmental world. We live in a stereotypical world. We live in a world that is heavily indoctrinated with a lot of, you see, religious views, personal views. That is the way many individuals have chosen to live their life. And it shapes their perception on how they digest and accept, certain things that are happening in the
Yeah.
world. Because I've said
Hmm.
it in one of my YouTube episodes. You can check it out there. But
Hmm.
you must understand, this industry was not, previously, it did not exist as huge as it does now. Like 30 years ago, this industry was not the norm for maybe our parents or grandparents' time. It's people of our generation in their teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, like, the Gen Z, the Gen Alpha generation, and whatever it's called, baby boomers, whatever. It is,
Mm.
it's still, I won't say it's very new, because it's been happening in the late 90s and early 2000s upon my research on webcam, because I went really in depth to know about these things. Um, like I said, it's just globally and especially locally,
Mhm.
it wasn't a household topic, of
Yeah.
discussion. Nowadays, like I said, with advances in technology and social media, and we're living in a very digital age, it is the norm to discreetly research and find information by just typing it in any search engine, and you can get, information is at your fingertips, and you have
Of
no
course.
reason to fear, you have no reason to fail at this industry, at this stage in our evolution as humanity, in this country or even globally. Like I said, same with mainstream marketing. You gotta want it bad enough. Everyone has
Mm.
different reasons why they choose to go down this path. Um, there is so many reasons why people choose to do it. I mean, majority is purely financial. Other people, it's a sort of, it's an art form. Like I said, it is a way of expressing one's creativity and oneself. It's also art, art appreciation in the form of admiring other bodies. You get people, especially overseas, nudists, nude art. I mean, you just go back to your Venusian era with our statues of Aphrodite and Adonis, and that whole, like, from the Edwardian era onwards, we lived in back then, you see, nudity is a thing overall. I just want to conclude. It can shake, it's on a person's level of perception. People are often fearful or judgmental of things that they have very basic or low level of understanding of. And only when they understand things from a broader perspective, or if they're willing to understand, then only they can appreciate what it's truly for. And like I said, there is different leagues to things. Maybe to if someone finds out that I've dabbled in this career path, to maybe depending on their level of understanding, to them I am just no better than a stereotypical
Hmm.
pretty woman, Julia Roberts standing on the street corner kind of a woman. But to
Hmm.
another perspective, who maybe for some reason is in the arts and entertainment industry, or is an MUA, or is a fashion designer, maybe to that person's perspective and POV point of view, I am a goddess. I am a risk taker. I am to another person.
Hmm.
I am a role model. I am somebody who
Hmm.
has like a very gutsy. It's all
Hmm.
dependent, purely dependent on a person's level of understanding, like I said, and many things shape and mold any particular individual's level of how they view you in that light. The main
Hmm.
thing I'll say is with the common misconceptions and the risk factors, everything has risk factors in this world, especially in the world of intellectual property and online. Any online job, especially when it's to do with visual art and stuff, there's always a risk factor for for your online security and things like that. So I go deep into that on my channel. I don't wish to go through it here, but like I said earlier on in the conversation, even with
Yeah.
mainstream modeling, it doesn't differ that much from mainstream modeling. To be very honest
Yeah.
with you, you gotta, as a person, really put in the hours, put in the effort. It's not chance. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It is not a pyramid scheme. It is not a online sex work. Is not a something that is for somebody that is not fully dedicated. Because as much as you can have a day job and you want to start this thing, you will reap the rewards of the effort that you put in, and in every small thing, like your lighting, your setup, how do you want to
Yeah.
be viewed, received. I think the beauty of it ultimately is you are always in control. People may look at you as a victim of being violated or being an object of desire, but in actuality you're not. You actually have way more control than you would ever imagine, starting this journey in this line of work of webcam
Hmm.
and online adult entertainment, because it's actually all up to you. And you know, there's something for everyone out there in this world. And if you so wish to try something like this, I think we've covered common misconceptions already. So, you got to be very headstrong. You got to want to try something bad enough for the reasons that you're wanting to try it for, whether it's personal, whether it's financial. And you got to, a lot of people, as much as they are in their adulthood, I would say that they are still very much controlled by a lot of social stigma. That is why it prevents a lot of people, like randomly. A lot of people don't live
Hmm.
the life of their dreams, and they don't follow. I mean, randomly, and as an adult in the workplace, somebody will ask somebody at the water cooler, hey, we work here, but when you were little, what did you always want to be? And
Yeah.
often, stereotypically, a guy would be like, I wanted to be a policeman, I wanted to be a soldier, I wanted to be, maybe I wanted to be an actor, excuse me. Maybe a lady would be like, uh, she could be as basic as, hey, I just always wanted to be a mom. I always wanted to be a housewife. I found joy in wanting to just be that nurturing individual, but here I am at a day job. Or she could say, I always wanted to be a uh, a businesswoman, or always wanted to be a model, or I always wanted to be this and this. I feel every individual in this world, I always say this, we are spiritual beings in a physical body, and we don't have to be spiritual to agree to what I'm saying, but
Hmm.
everybody has something within themselves that sparks that fire, that makes it feel alive. You could be an adrenaline junkie. You could be someone that loves art. You could be someone who loves music. But the rigidity of life and a day job and the rat race has dampened that spark within you. So my ending message to you, everyone, is that find something that makes you feel alive. Find something that ignites that spark in you. Whatever it is that you want to do, even
Hmm.
if it's SW or dabbling into webcam, uh, everything is worth a shot, because in the greater scheme of things, obviously within good reason and stuff like that, don't like jeopardize. I'm not saying jeopardize what you currently have. Take such huge risks now where you could potentially lose what you are currently got going for you. But try a little step today can mean a big thing tomorrow or in years to come, and you just never know. And when you try something risky that sets your heart on fire, you learn a lot about yourself as an individual. I mean, I've learned a lot about myself as an individual, uh, dabbling into this industry. And you know what? Fast forward a few months into it, here I am now, having a weekly vlog talking about it, having I would say a movement, but sort of like breaking my own inhibitions and certain a lot of misconceptions I also had, prior to getting into it. So yeah, you just got to be very headstrong, and also remember that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. People will talk. It'll irk some people. It'll shake some people's perceptions over you. It's all up to you how you sort of take it, because anybody in this world, whatever you want to venture into, especially this kind of industry, whether it's mainstream modeling or adult industry, you're not going to make everybody happy all of the time, and even in life as well. So you got to be like okay with
Yeah.
that, be at peace with that, because at the end of the day, it's your life, and everybody at the end of their life, if they are so fortunate to live a lifespan where they're in their ripe old age, you want to really look back and ask yourself, what did I live? Everybody asks themselves
Mm.
the stereotypical question, like, did I live a life well lived? Did I do all the things that I wanted to do when I was a kid? Did I allow myself? Because ultimately you're the only one stopping you. You're the only one holding yourself back, to be very, very frank. And I want this
Mm.
message to stick with some people who watch this video, so that they it can remind them that you are more than just that person that is behind the desk job, or like you have other passions, whatever it may be. Give it a try and start small, whatever it is that you want to do that is outside of your normal rigidity of your paying the bills, and allow yourself, because at the end of the day, you are here to experience this world.
Mm.
So that's my closing message.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that you did cover the stuff I was gonna ask you, which was the common misconception and your weekly YouTube journey. So I'm just gonna ask you one more question, if that's actually okay with you, which is gonna be
No
getting
problem.
scouted by VMA for an upcoming swimwear shoot taking place in Belicho, as well as other campaigns.
Oh, yes, very exciting. So actually, last week this time, I actually received a message from Chulani, the talent scout of VMA. So, free marketing here. Hope you don't mind. So, VMA is a Viva modeling agency. From what I understand, he's also an ex-model, and ironically, mind you, at the time of knowing, being in touch with him or responding to his message or his invitation for the campaign, I had looked at his credentials and I was like, okay, he's an ex Irene's model. So Irene's models, as you can see, like I said, though they are one of the largest agencies in KZN, Irene's modeling agency is responsible for a lot of local and talent overseas, big talent. Like Irene has prided herself in the industry for over 35 years, and she's really responsible for a lot of amazing individuals that have broken out into this industry and that are doing big things. I mean, Chalani is one of them that I met through my surprise. We haven't met formally as yet, but he is somebody that approached, and judging by his profile, he is recruiting. He's now in the recruitment side of the industry, and the photography side. So he's all campaigning on behalf of a brand, scouting potential models for swimwear. Now, as being in the industry, right, personally for me, in an ideal world, I would be loving to be in an ideal world being getting booked for couture one after the other, and getting paid like an amazing rate of pay and salary. But
Mm.
the world doesn't work that way, and
Mm.
oftentimes other people, talent scouts, they see something in you in that moment in time that they feel you would best represent that particular model. You got to be open and all. You got to be open to give it a shot, because you never know where it can land you. For example, deep down, I cannot, over the years since I started in this industry, I cannot attach my mindset and my belief system to only couture in bridal wear and Eastern wear and things that I love, because I love clothes, I love fashion. I'm a designer as well. So it's as much as I love it, if I had lived my life the last 2 years, ever since my journey began in the modeling industry, with a limited perception that that's the only work I will ever accept that comes my way, and I will not
Mm.
be boudoir, adult industry, or even do something like swimwear. Because you see, a boudoir, swimwear, and adult industry, in terms of visual, it is a very, very borderline. I always say lingerie is basically a night version or a bedroom version uh, of swimwear, and swimwear is like a day wear version of the same thing. It's literally only covering your intimates. It's your entire physique is on show. With some of the designs that get get produced of the styles and the shapes and things when it comes to this kind of garments, or should I say negligee, it actually covers the bare minimum. And you got to be so strong as a person, first of all, let alone as a model, to be okay with
Mm.
allowing yourself to be on public display. It's not even about, like I said, it's not even about the opportunity or the money. From a personal humanistic level, a basic level, you've got to really be okay with yourself. And that is where, your meditation, your spiritual life, your support structure, you have to have a solid. It's not about having tens and thousands of people that love you, that are like literally at your beck and call, but having a good network of a community of fans and just people that are cheering you on. I know, Siddharth, you are one of them. You've always been supporting me, always been cheering me on. It is so important in this industry because it can really break you, excuse me, mentally, if you don't have a minimum of 5 to 10 solid people that you can say that are backing you all the way in whatever
Mm.
endeavor
Mm.
you are on in this modeling industry. Because modeling actually runs in my family and entertainment. So I have
Okay.
I'm not sure if you'll be able to get in touch with her because we're not that close. But one of the world's best models that actually models overseas as well a lot. One of my cousins, she is she actually has been in this industry. She's much older than me, but she's
Oh.
been in this industry for a long time. And she has, it's part of the industry. To be having very revealing, like I said, in being a brown person, a brown community. Let's not shy away from the fact that, especially in the brown
Mm.
community, prior
Mm.
to this, who is our local role model in this industry?
Mm.
You enter this essay, you are expected to do swimwear. You are expected to be okay with certain things being on show because it is your line of work. You gotta be
Mm.
your best.
Mm.
You gotta be okay with it being -10 degrees and you're doing swimwear, for example, because it's part of the territory. I mean,
Mm.
up till today, Kireshni Naika is still one of our South African, Indian, our brown communities like heroes, stalwarts in the industry because she became the face of SA. If you put mainstream modeling on the map for the brown community, when it was, I think, it was still in its inception of society's norms in South Africa, the brown community, where it was considered acceptable or not acceptable, or people were still getting used to the idea of a brown
Mm.
woman, woman of color being reaching high rankings in this industry. And imagine if she did not have a support structure backing her
Mm.
to really propel forward, because I cannot imagine. I mean, I was just a kid back then. I cannot imagine the backlash she must have gotten from the
Yeah.
masses when she first began her modeling career. It's not even
Mm.
about being skinny and tall and being a brown woman. It's about the fact that you will get remarks passed, you will get judgment passed, and you will always be sexualized no matter what you are, as long as you are a woman. You are going to be hypersexualized randomly in your lifetime, even even when you are not in this industry, but more when you are in this industry. You've got to be mentally okay with it because
Of
it's a
course.
part and parcel of your industry, of your journey.
Mm.
So I was taken aback when I was approached, and I was asked to submit some really risky kind of photos for the
Mm.
application for not just that potential swimwear campaign in Bolito, but also a few
Mm.
other ad campaigns that ironically sort of requires one to be borderline nude. So it was kind of really, really daunting and scary. And but you know what? When you're professional, like I said earlier on, the professionalism of the liaison. It's quite the norm, girls out there. If you are watching, it's the norm. Don't get startled. Don't just block people that are inviting you for things to do with modeling. Suss it out, look at the credentials of the person inviting you, look at the credentials of the person liaising with you, watch their tone
Mm.
and how professional they are speaking. You know,
Mm.
that person did not tell me, hey, Kavishka, send me, pay attention to words. Vocabulary is so important, especially for something like this. He did not say, send me 5 photographs, send me 5 selfies or send me 5 nudes or 5 selfies of he didn't use the word, for example, ass. He said we need certain angles of certain photographs. If you could take some now of the rear, of your rear and of your frontal, and we will blur out the certain areas. And he gave me the rest assurance that it's between him and the POPI officer, and obviously the agents, the brand that he's going to submit it to, sent me screen grab photos of the application form. So like the tone of the conversation. although it's this kind of industry, and I'm getting approached randomly. Obviously, I also had a certain level of fear. But it's very so important for an agent or a talent scout to also talk you through every step of the way, make you feel comfortable in something as risky as this, because you never know. I mean, like I said, theft of intellectual property. Also, considering I recently began my adult industry entertainment, and I am very, very careful and very, very fussy about who my
Mm.
potential clients are and who gets to actually have access to be like, hey, I have a particular Bulwa photo of Kavishka, or I have this of her, and things it's the norm for things to get leaked, but at the same time, trust and integrity is so important because I'm not just, like I said, a normal person that is just doing this now. I'm coming from a professional modeling background. I am dabbling into this other avenue of this industry, and then now, lo and behold, I also have to be, considering being okay with, I accepted this offer should it come through and it be fruitful for me, because it was just an application. Nothing is
Mm.
confirmed as yet, but I will keep you updated if it is confirmed. So fingers and thumbs crossed for that. It The thing is, you got to be, like I said, willing. You got to be willing to take the risk. Should it come
Mm.
through, you got to be okay with yourself to
Mm.
actually, be a part of a campaign of this nature. Because, like I said, somewhere, and lingerie here, especially for a paid campaign, a booked gig modeling job, there's so much that goes into it. It's not as simple as allowing yourself to be seen in such a vulnerable position by so many crew members and people on set. It's about the fact that this is your job, and you must have a certain level of integrity and work ethic. And this is bits of information I can give to any aspiring model. Like I said to Lani as well, they've got to want, as a potential model, you got to want it bad enough. As a woman,
Mm.
as an aspiring model who wants to break into the career as well, overall, you got to want it bad enough. You also got to maintain professionalism and integrity at all times, and be firm as a woman, as a young person, as somebody that wants to be in this industry. Know your things. Like know yourself, know your body, know what to say yes to, know what to say no to, and give everything a fair chance. Give something a fair enough chance before you shut it down, because you could potentially lose a good opportunity. I mean, you never know, even if you're not a professionally trained model. But you hear these stories happening overseas, but why doesn't it happen here? It does. It's just that people are too fearful. Potential models and girls are too fearful. So just pay attention to the tone of conversation when you get approached. Pay attention to the professionalism of the person you're dealing with before shutting it down, because you never know. You could be the next face of something that you would never imagine to be a brand or a campaign or a line. Make no mistake, there are brands, there are up and coming brands, there are designers, there are content creators, there are
Yeah.
movements created every day locally and globally. And you never know where you will sort of feature in that. There's something for everyone. So yeah, I'm nervous, I'm excited. It's a bit nerve wracking to like not know what is the verdict, but I'm not gonna think about it too much. And yeah,
Of course. Yeah.
whatever comes of it, of course, I'll be excited and happy. Even if nothing comes of it too, it's at least I know that I was willing
Mm.
to go that far. So yeah, I really enjoyed
Yeah.
this interview.
Yeah. Likewise. And yeah, just keep positive, and yeah, we'll catch up soon. Thanks so much for your time.
Bye.